Good evening. Howdy, 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 fucking howdy. Bing, 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 bing. Bing, 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 bing. Trying to figure why I wouldn't glue those on. Hey, Nick. Good evening. How are you? Trying to think of why I would not glue those on. Let's take a look. Edwin, good morning. It's weird saying that. Good morning, Edwin. I'm good. Well, I'm happy to hear that you're good. One might almost argue you're probably better than good. I don't see why they wouldn't go on. Okay. Stuck in traffic, listening to George. Mike, when are you going to be on again? Boy, Edwin. If I am missing, that means I am going off to the... Edwin, first of all, are you okay, or is this related to your dad? Sup, Nick? Sup, Mike? Sup, everybody? Shit. I think we are going to glue these things on. I'm just trying to figure out why the hell I wouldn't do it now. Dad-related time for me to go for my afternoon watch. All right, Edwin. Hey, family first, always, right? Supposed to be on last night, but the wife cock blocked me again. What the? I guess the question I'd have to ask to that, Mike, is everything okay? Anyway. Family in town. Oh, well, okay. It's kind of hard. I get that. It's like this weekend. It's everything that I do in the morning is going to be based around whatever happens with my wife. As an example, Saturday is going to be cut short, probably be done by 7:00. Normally I'd go later, but that's not going to happen. Definitely next week. Better fucking be next week. It's actually getting to the point where I'm losing, because it happened this past Wednesday. I'm losing it being a routine. And when I lose it as being a routine, I forget. In fact, it actually happened on Wednesday. I think I woke up at one point, like in the middle of the night, like, fuck, was Mike on? I think I actually went on YouTube and just like, no, okay, he wasn't. Okay, that's good. What's going on, Ken? What is going on? All right. So anyway, welcome to everybody. Tell me about it. Yeah. Hey, George. So I think we continue to have very interesting weeks when it comes to, I honestly, I don't even know. Here's the thing, when you start getting into areas where you're just where you truly can't really speak from a place of experience. It's like the only way I can describe what's going on right now in the world, the only way what's going on in the United States, the only way I can describe it is it's shit you read either in science fiction or fascist history books, because there's just no precedent in my lifetime that I'm seeing this. I'm sure if my dad were around, or some of our parents or grandparents were around, they might have been like, "Oh yeah, this reminds me of." But it's unbelievable what's going on. Absolutely unbelievable. I'm gonna glue these pieces on. I don't know why I haven't yet, but I'm gonna glue them on now. I'll probably realize it like tomorrow. It's like, oh yeah, that's why I didn't do it. But they're getting glued on now. These are unprecedented times. No, I don't. I don't think that is true. I think they're unprecedented in our lifetime. And that's, I think, what makes it rather interesting. It's that we just don't know what's going on. I did hear something, and I posted it. This is sort of like the subject, I guess, of this week. I posted. It's like, um, something I heard about um, politics. Politics have taken on a negative tone, and I've always found that to be a disservice and disingenuous. I don't think there's anything wrong with politics. I think there's something wrong with partisanship. And that's what I heard. It's like politics, not partisanship. Partisanship is where things are going badly. Because I generally think that, again, everybody's got their backgrounds and their history and all that. A lot of what I talk about, I guess, or I shouldn't say a lot. Much of what I talk about is based around like some cultural things that I've experienced. And in particular, I'll use this example, the movie, God, it'll come to me. Movie I saw with Charles Lawton years ago, where you had political sides. This is probably in the 50s, right? And you had political sides, and they're going at it, but they're not denigrating. That's your side. We're still going to go out for drinks. This is my side. Let's go have a beer. Let's go get a steak. Let's go get whatever. It's just that kind of power grab that we're now having. Hey, oh, happy few. Yes, Joe, how are you, brother? How you feeling? That's the thing that I think bothers me the most. It's that we can't even disagree now without taking it personally. And I know that this always, especially to people who are on the opposite side of the political spectrum, I know it always upsets them. But there is too much historical precedent over the last 50 years of the far right. And by far right, I mean Christian nationalists, a white nationalist group, and the Republican Party all kind of coalescing around a belief that we have to gain back power. It's a backlash to what was experienced in the 60s and the early 70s. Dwayne, what's going on, brother? There was a backlash to what was experienced there. And it coalesced around a number of different things. The first is the abortion issue, which was a non-issue until 1977, 78, at which point a cause was created. Catholics were really into it, so a cause was created, and they're like, we're going to capitalize on that. Again, just as a very small congestion. Glad to hear it's just a small bit of congestion. But they coalesced around this issue. Then you had, Reagan come in, and you had a complete right-wing swing as a backlash to what was going on in the world of politics before then. Now, one can argue, did we swing too far one way, I don't know, But I can say this: since that time, it has been not about um, it has not been about how can we politic. It has been become how can we win, and that is problematic. Joe got me sick barely. Joe got me sick. He transcommunicated a virus to me. Tired today, headache. Ooh, that doesn't sound good. Damn it. It's virtual virus. Yeah. So we're now in a place where, I think the question is, can we ever get out of a place like this when we become so hyper partisan on our beliefs that can we, have a conversation, and I'm going to toss this out. You guys want to have a conversation about, gun rights? Glad to. I believe in gun rights, or all I'm asking for is common sense laws against guns. I'm not asking for anything more than that. Abortion. I believe in abortion. Personally, I don't believe in abortion, but do I believe in a woman's right to choose? Absolutely. But guess what? All those issues, let's get pushed aside for a second. We actually have to at least understand that we're going to have differences, and we're going to have to start kind of coming together again, because otherwise we're never going to be able to talk again. So then you're going to come up with situations like what's happening down in Texas and what's happening up in California. We're going to start choosing, or our politicians are going to start choosing who their constituents are, and it's becoming so fucking weaponized that it doesn't help us, Now, having said that, do I think what's going on in California sucks? Yes. Do I think it's a necessary evil? Yes. Do I wish we didn't have to go there? Yes. Do I think we have to? Yes. Because we're weaponizing how we deal with other people. That's something, I guess, maybe this is the thing that, again, I've read too much about, or in fiction, or seen in older history, or everything like that. But to see it in action right now in our country is unbelievable. Is there an incentive for them to stop? Things have gotten so far that if they do stop, they'll have to reckon with what they've done. I think a lot of it is, look, and here's something I've said before, Dwayne. I'm not a big fan of, if you voted MAGA and you're now in a place where, Jesus, I made a mistake, and people come to you and just say, well, fuck you, you did the wrong thing. Stop with that. The first thing is, we can't vilify people for making mistakes. In my opinion, we have had a remarkably talented and evil individual sell the American public on a bill of goods, on hatred, vilification, and just and not being the other. When you can divide people, when you can create those divisions, it's a good sell, particularly to people who are susceptible to that stuff. And that's where we are right now. Choose this. I am very punk about gerrymandering and red lines. I am very punk. I am very much of, at this point, we need to do something to counter all of this stuff to bring things back into balance. And I'm hoping at some point we can get back into balance. I don't know how. I think that's the worst of it. Sorry, I'm stopping a message coming through. This is the one thing I don't know how, And I know that there are going to be people out there who are going to say, well, George, you're part of the problem too, because you're taking an extreme side. I'd like to think that I don't take an extreme side. First of all, my views have all been formed based on life experience and a lot of stuff that I've read. And I'm not saying that other people aren't in that same place. But if we're that educated, if we're that smart, then can we at least find ways of coming together? Where can we compromise on things that make sense? And I think what we're going to end up finding is the majority of people are going to be like, let's just ramp this down and let's find places where we can kind of coexist. And those other things, we'll figure our way through that. Just use zip codes and call it a day. Possibly, but guess what? You can gerrymander those too, Joe. There's actually gerrymandering is a interesting topic. I actually heard something this last week that or read something this past week that I thought was interesting. One, our population has tripled in the last 150 years, I think. And in that time, we haven't increased the number of U.S. representatives. What we've done instead is we've their number of the number on average of representatives or I'm sorry, I apologize, people that they represent has increased from something like 300 to something like $700,000-800,000, some bizarre number. So that's already increased significantly. So can we come up with a different representative system? And I'm going to use Massachusetts. I heard this and I thought it was as a good example. Let's say, for example, right now, 30% of the population in Massachusetts votes for a Republican, okay, in the House of Representatives. But all the seats go to Democrats. Should there be some representation from Republicans? And if you think about, instead of having this, instead of having this electing a representative based around a gerrymandered area, maybe what you do is you divide it over what's your population, not population, but how many people have voted in one direction versus another. And then you apply, everybody gets ranked. Everybody kind of goes out there and runs for an office. You get ranked. And you get some people from Democratic Party, 70%, and you get 30% from the Republican Party. Do the same thing in Texas, 60% Republican, 40% Democrat. I don't know, choose some other very conservative state, 90% fine. 90% of your votes are going towards a Republican and 10% to a Democrat. You flip it. 10% are going to a Republican, 90% are going to a Democrat. So I think there's some merit to that conversation. Do I think that's going to happen? No. Do I think we're anywhere near a place where we can kind of have that conversation? No. I think a representative is selected, then the opposing party becomes their vice. Their vice. Yeah, but if they do that, no one can cheat. Yeah, and Peter, isn't that ultimately? I know you're joking. Isn't that ultimately what we're going for? Peter, good evening. How are you? So here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for finding a way that we do have fair representation, and I'm also looking for ways of bringing sanity back. That now you have to be competitive, even if you're in a place where we're primarily Republican. Great, you're still competitive. Primarily Democrat, you're still competitive. Alex Riss has been stuck trying to shake hands with my PayPal for 20 minutes. I don't think it's going to happen. That's wild. Can you just use a credit card and go straight into AliExpress? Wild. I've never had a problem with AliExpress and PayPal. Crazy. Hopefully it'll go through, Peter. So there's that's going on. Let's also talk a little bit about what's going on in Washington, D.C. as the primer for what's going to be happening next year. Let's be honest. Anybody think that this is not going to be what we're going to see as we get closer into a political season? That we're not going to see the president sending the troops into all of these places he doesn't feel are fair. And once again, what constitutes fair? One of the things I keep hearing about why we sent the troops into Chicago, into into DC, into LA, and thinking about Chicago or thinking about Maryland and Baltimore. It's like, why are you doing that? Oh, because it's crime ridden. Show me the statistics. Give me the receipts. And it's because, no, we've got the receipts. Don't tell me you have them. Let me see from credible sources. Until you do that, you can say any fucking thing you want and you can do whatever the fuck you want. And that is authoritarianism. It's going to get so much worse. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Something I'm praying to God I'm wrong. There's going to be blood. Trump just wants to look strong. I think it's more than looking strong. This is not just looking strong. This is his attempt to manipulate to the point of being strong. Because if you can't win by whatever fair way of doing it, cheat the fuck out of it. Why? Because you think you deserve it. This is another reason why I generally do not believe that people who are in the corporate world, that are captains of industry should ever be in politics, because they think I'm gonna do what I do here just like I do in my company. I'm gonna represent my people, just like you don't represent people in a corporation. You don't. You can do anything you want. You're fired. I don't like what you can do that bullshit. You can't do that as a politician. You can't fire your constituents. You can't fire your way through people who theoretically don't work for you. They work for the government. And you can just say, well, I'm the government. That's authoritarianism. Now, I don't live in DC, but I'm going to take a guess here that DC is becoming quite a clean city. So we basically sent in the troops. We've cut the budget for law enforcement. We sent in the troops to kind of police areas. And what are they policing? They're policing the touristy areas, and they're cleaning up trash. That's what the military is doing now. That's what the National Guard are doing. And then crime has gone down to zero. First of all, don't ever bullshit a bullshitter, okay? There's no such thing as crime is down to zero. It's working so well here. We're going to export this to Chicago. Why? Because you hate fucking Pritzker. How about this? Why don't you send people into Memphis, Tennessee, which is the per capita highest level of crime in this country? Wait, Tennessee is a Republican state. Setting up illegal checkpoints. They're grabbing people on the way to work. $130 million. Groundskeeper. Yeah, exactly. Once again, here's the thing. I can understand the necessity for change. When Trump first got elected back in 2016, I wigged out, but I'm like, all right, let's give the guy the credit. Let's see if he's going to change things. You see, I'm going to drain the swamp. You didn't drain the swamp. You created a fucking massive cesspool the size of the Atlantic. You've created a cesspool. And the reason is it's all about personal power. And I'm going to keep bringing that back. When we have these sessions, it's all going to come back to that, my friends. You can be upset with me. You can not agree with me. This is purely about power, about domination of a country. We're a white, Christian, nationalist country. If you don't believe in bending the knee to the flag, if you don't believe in the same way that they believe in their very closed-minded view how we should be running our country, you don't belong here. If you are not of a certain skin color, you don't belong here, or you're a reduced citizen. If you are of a certain ethnic group, if you're of a certain religion, you ain't Christian, you got no say in this country. This is a power grab by an elitist group, and particularly an extremely well-funded elitist group. And again, if I'm wrong, let me know how I'm wrong. Let me know how I'm wrong. But it's a power grab. Now, well, we're going to do that. Sorry for getting a little close and personal there. We are going to start putting stuff on sticks. I have to get some blue tack. Okay. It's not like I don't have plenty of blue tack. So I remember where I put all my plenty of blue tack. I usually like to keep a blob of blue tack nearby. Hurricane season is coming. FEMA has been gutted. FEMA has been turned into an agency of policing. Yeah, it's been gutted, and that budget and the people are now being used for policing purposes. Yeah, makes no sense, Peter. I truly hope that we have a mild season this year, but if not, it's going to be interesting. By the way, also, thank you very much, Mr. President, for weaponizing who gets FEMA funds. Here's the thing that I guess I don't understand. I'm paying you guys, anybody who's American, we are paying taxes. I understand that I'm paying taxes. I understand that it is a necessity of life. I've never complained about paying taxes. That is part of being a citizen in a country. You fund things that help your country and you and the people around you, right? That's the nature of taxes. Totally get it. But when you start saying, I'm going to cut funding to this university, to FEMA, to the CDC, to Veterans Administration, to this, to that, I'm going to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. You're cutting all this stuff. It's like, I've paid into this. So what are you cutting? You are cutting into stuff that I think needs to be paid for. I understand the reason for USAID and soft power. Okay. I understand the reason that we want to help people in other countries. I understand why we want to help our veterans. I understand why we want to get medications flowing through. But when you weaponize that and start saying that, you know what, I'm going to determine what's going to get paid, that you are the keeper of the finances, that's bad shit, man. It's like not being able to find your blue tack. It's bad shit. Blue tack. I knew I had blobs of it. So we're in an interesting place. We're in a very interesting place right now, where I am hoping that we will see a lot of people who have been championing the power on the right. I'm genuinely hoping we'll see those people run into people on the other side and win. One of the things I keep hearing from a lot of the podcasts I listen to, it's like, hey, this is, we're going to see the blue wave and Democrats, great. I'm excited. As a Democrat, it's actually not a bad thing. However, once again, I'm not looking at this from a partisan perspective. Something I said last week, don't look at the candidate and the D or the R after them. Look at what they represent and what they're saying, what they've done and what they're going to do. Well, yeah, I think you're right. I think we need to find ways of not gutting Medicare. And boy, I really do think we need to take care of our veterans. And yeah, I really do think that we need to stop treating people so poorly and we need to have this and that. And it's like, well, if one party if you agree with the politics of one party, that's the one you should be going to, or the candidate within that party, irrespective of it. As I've said before, I have had no problem in voting for a Republican if that Republican's values are the ones that mirror my own, and there have been some, not many, but there have been some, things that I look for in a politician. I look for somebody who's like, are you going to be working towards, universal health care? And by universal healthcare, I mean single payer. Let's get the fuck away from this insurance company bullshit. You know, anybody here think that insurance companies are a benefit to what's going on? Oops, hiccup. Anybody think that's a benefit? I can tell you right now, given my history, 40 years of being in the, just about 40 years of being in the market space, in the working world, it's like, it's never been like this. What do you mean I've got to do all this legwork? What do you mean it's like I can't have that service done? Why? Well, the insurance company says it's not going to pay for it. Are you kidding me? So, do I want universal health care? Yes. Do I think we need to get labor rights back in place where we need them to be? Yes. Do I think we need to cut back on the military budget in order to fund things that are important to us and our society, and specifically, funding, SNAP benefits, people who are destitute, etc. Yes. Do I think we need to find better ways of getting people, becoming legal citizens in this country? Absolutely. No, I've had kids and she's dealt with them. I'm sorry. I must be missing something, Dwayne. I'm sure that you're responding to something. I just remember, maybe I've just moved on so far. I forget what it was that you're responding to. But medieval peasants only work 150 hours a year. Medieval peasants. Actually, they probably work more than that. But it also depends on what constitutes work, right? But here's the thing. Like I said, I don't think we need to. Healthcare insurance companies are the fucking worst. Yes, okay, 100%. They're the fucking worst. The insurance companies are creating more problems for this country than they're worth. And, but we also have a system, and this is another one. If you're preaching 100% a capitalist society where everything should be free market, I'm not in favor of that. Where you have that much of deregulation, not a good thing. And again, this is experience. When you start deregulating that much, that's when things start going south. And again, there's a lot of anecdotal information. Anecdotal, there's a lot of real world information out there about that. So anyway, so those are the things that kind of drive me. And I didn't come to those points of view because the Democrats came across and said, "Hey, these are our views. Do they match yours?" It's like, I don't look at it that way. I look at, these are my views. Which party do I see, or which group of people do I see that kind of represents those values? And if it's the same values, then I'm on their side. You have the tax from 6 to 15%, and that would be enough to offset the healthcare system for free. 100%. Yeah. But we don't want to do that because, oh no, we can't pay taxes. Taxes are bad. Taxes are bad. We're gonna get rid of taxes. Instead, we're gonna tariff the world. That the world is gonna be paying for all this shit. I don't know. Anybody here not seeing certain things going up in price? I'm seeing things going up. So. Anyway, so again, if a candidate represents your views, whatever those views are, whatever's important to you, I would recommend that those are the candidates that you should be voting for, irrespective of what party they say they're in. Look at the economy in the 60s. It was going okay until the tax stamps were taken out. The economy in the 60s was going okay, I suppose. There's probably other reasons for that as well. Probably multiple reasons for that. I don't have enough history on how that was going. I mean, here's the real world of it. I couldn't afford the house that I live in now if I were to buy it today. My salary hasn't gone up enough for me to be able to buy this house. All the expenses have gone up so much, there's no way we can do it. So we have to find ways. So I'm looking for places of how do we make housing more affordable? How do we make housing more affordable? I'm going to tell you topics I don't want to hear about. I don't want to hear about transgender athletes. Sorry. 10 transgender athletes and you're going to make a big stink over it. Don't waste my fucking time. Okay? Not an important issue. We can debate it if you want, but it's like, guys, this is a non-issue. I think what we need to look at is how do we make college more affordable? How do we make medical expenses more affordable? How do we make housing more affordable? Those are the issues that matter. And the funny thing is, if you ask the average American, because the statistics are kind of like that, they'll agree. I had to make a bunch more. My house put my debit. Joe, I'm sorry, I'm missing some of that. Something must have auto-corrected incorrectly. So anyway. I think we have to find ways of retiring with dignity. I think we have to find ways of paying down our national debt. Put me in big debt. Yeah. It puts it. Yeah. In fact, I think for a lot of us, that's kind of what happened, Joe. When you think about how much it costs, what you need. And my wife and I have done this. What do you need for the basics? Food, housing, stuff like that, paying for utilities, everything like that. And what your salary is, it's getting to the point where how do you afford that stuff? And then still do I want to be able to take a vacation. Yeah, but it gets people upset and distracted, and that's why it's all about culture war nonsense. Oh, I know exactly, Peter. There's no question about it, because it's easier to become divisive and talk about, oh my God, transgender athletes and women in the military, and that's just bad, or sugar in Coca-Cola. These are the issues that people are fucking upset about. Yeah, no. So this math, you need to make $55 an hour in order to make the American dream. And I think that, it also depends on where you live, Joe. And this is where, once again, I'll just call out, Zohan Mamdani, the Democratic candidate in New York City. He's calling out for a $30 minimum wage, minimum hourly rate for employees. Why? Because you can't live for less than that. I mean, like I said, my wife and I have done our budget. And I know what our salaries are. And in theory, with our salaries, we should be doing pretty well. But we've gone through a couple of hard times. And then I look at how much it is to pay for college. My poor daughter has to live at home. She can't go out and afford her own fucking place. Our medical expenses are like, I look at the fucking bills we get. It's like, this is unacceptable. I'm paying this year. We actually had to change plans because now plans change all the time because some hospitals are like, I'm not going to pay. That plan doesn't work for us. So we got these fucking plans. It changed. I saved a little bit per week on a family plan, and it costs me a lot more on the back end. Fucking ridiculous. New Cracker Barrel logo is destroying my life. I know. It's like, I'm trying to figure out, what is it? Why do people get distracted with these bullshit issues? Why do people get distracted with these issues? They sent a letter of apology. Well, that's the thing I don't understand. Why do people get so distracted? What is it about? They changed it back. Oh, yeah, we saw that. What is it about that? Why is it that I've got to focus on, oh my God, Muslims are destroying our culture here. We're going to live under Sharia law. Fear factor. Oh my God, Democrats are going to come in here and they're going to force all their nasty attitudes on you. What nasty attitudes? They're going to take away your guns. First of all, I don't think most Democrats want to take away people's guns. We believe in the Second Amendment. If you're trying to apply common sense laws to gun rights, that's okay. But you're trying to steer a narrative that does not help the people who are embracing it. Just wanted to attract some customers that aren't 80 years old. God forbid. God forbid. But that's the big issues, Here versus NHK. I actually did watch NHK yesterday for a little bit. It was pretty good. I agree with you that it does have a bit of an old school type of feel to it. Now, again, I didn't watch enough of it to be for certain, but it did definitely feel that way. So I don't think I have enough. Do I have enough skewers? No, I gotta paint something. I gotta fucking paint something. I don't have enough skewers. Keep putting things on sticks and then just not painting them. Has editing and a fucking musical score. People are manipulated by good production value. Oh yeah, I thought you just organized. I did organize. Well, but the problem is all my sticks are up on my alligator clips. Oh no, they're not. They're here. Oh thank God. I didn't think I used them all. That's what I was looking for. I did organize. Peter, just because I organized doesn't mean I organized. I don't remember where shit went. Bring back my bill nabs. I'm only 14 years away from Social Security. Yeah. Ooh, I can use that one. Senior citizen, got to make a paint zone. I do have a paint zone. It's right next to me. But I also have limited space in this house, so you got to do with what you got. So that is the sanding stick. Anyway. So a weathering zone. Dwayne, next time when you buy my next house, I'm going to ask for all of that. You funny. Yeah. To have all that space. Sure. It would be great. You know, maybe when both the girls are moved out and everything like that, and this house actually has a lot of that. Yeah, turn one of the rooms upstairs into an office, kind of spread out a little bit more here, move some of their shit out. Yeah. One of these days I'm going to get organized. I'm going to take your basement and move stuff around. You're going to, that's why I'm not going to let you in here. You're going to fuck with me and it's going to be bad. What's good? MSA, what's going on, man? Hope I'm not late. I've got about another 10 minutes or so. I know where everything is. Yeah, you do, because I've shown what's going on here. Doesn't mean I'm going to let you in. Ooh. Are you a good thief? You know how to break, you know how to do a B&E? We don't need to buy his moosh. Exactly. All right, let's see if I can get this thing clipped. I can. Clipped. $10 minutes? Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah, I started at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and I wrap up just a little after 8 o'clock Eastern time. I've also got a call at 8 o'clock with a friend of mine. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. Do I have something to grab onto? If I don't, let's see, I might. It's almost 3 a.m. here. Yeah. Wow, that's either wicked early or wicked late. It's up into the pin wash chamber. I'd love to have a pin wash chamber. Love to have a pin wash chamber. So anyway. Turret. Love that turret. Looks so good. This can get glued onto the turret if I'm correct. Nice. So someone in as a box, as a gift, we will get in. We will get in. Bribe my kids. They'll probably let you in. In fact, let me see if I can glue this piece on. I'd like to actually get all of this thing glued on if possible. But so anyway, guys, I'm going to once again just recommend keep in mind that it really does need to be not about a political party. It needs to be about the person. So don't focus on the political party. Listen to the person who just kind of speaks, and it's like what they're saying makes the most sense. What's your favorite Star Wars movie? The original. Saw it when I was a kid. That's an easy one. Star Wars or Star Wars, Episode 4. Take your pick. You can call it whatever you want, but that's the one. Oh, shit. Forgot to do something. Let's take this out. Well, Star Trek the other. Well, she'll want tech. Yeah, likely. So let's get a sanding sponge. Glasses. So anyway, guys, I don't know where this is all going to end up. Kind of the way I'm going to end it kind of the way we started. I don't know where this is all going to fucking go. But I do hope. I hope that somehow as a country we can come back together. But I do think it's going to get bloody before it gets better. And I think that we need to look at why things are the way they are, and to genuinely not look at it from, again, not from a partisan perspective, but just from not even a political perspective. Just look at it from is this benefiting me? That's the latest news on the Epstein list. Who the fuck knows? You mean that it's all kind of like the documentation that they released was already 90% or more released already? There's nothing new coming out? and I'll just, we'll just leave this topic go through this topic very easily. The Epstein list, look, I don't, you got to put the bad guys away. That's the only thing that matters. You can't expose the kids that were, that should be protected. I get that. Frankly, this whole topic is just a bullshit topic. It's like, if you've committed a crime, then you should go to jail. And you should want to be able to release that information. And by not releasing it, all you're doing is you're sending a message. You're not releasing it because there's something going on. And that's the end of that. So it all comes together and back in the end. You think it will ever come out? Like ever? It depends on how much of it gets destroyed. I don't have faith that the regime and the DOJ will not be destructive. The question is whether or not, and here's what's interesting, whether or not guys like Dan Bongino, who built their entire career on the Epstein files, will not crack at some point and just say, I can't do this anymore. This is a bullshit lie. It will never see the light of day. Hard to release a list your name's on. Absolutely. And let's be honest, I don't give a fuck whose name is on it. If it's Bill Gates and it's Bill Clinton and it's Woody Allen and whoever the fuck is on it, if you're on that list and you did bad shit, go to jail. I don't care who it is. But if you're hiding something because you're on it or close friends of you are on it, and you're trying to make a person who has been found guilty of sexual abuse and trying to free them, I don't care. That person's like, why are you mollycoddling this one person who's been proven to be guilty in a court of law? Tom Hanks is on that? Fine. Fuck him. I don't care. No offense. If one of you people are on that list, if it's a legitimate list, guess what? Sorry. See you later. 80% of the list is Jewish people and vital politicians. Well, I don't know about the Jewish thing. I would disagree with you on that. Bill Clinton ain't Jewish. Donald Trump ain't Jewish. So, no. Now, vital politicians, maybe. There's a lot of people who did bad things. There will be justice. Karma will come around. Joe, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I don't know what that will ultimately look like. One can always pray that that's the case. I'm not optimistic. Not just million people controlled by Jews. Well, once again, I think we have to be very, very cautious about how we say that. I don't know. I know a lot of people who are Jewish, many, many people. And most of them are good people. Okay. People get away with shit all the time. They do. Okay. Now, is the Israeli government and PAC doing stuff here like trying to buying people and influencing? Absolutely. Do I think that's also the case from from petroleum companies through gun lobbyists through all these people? Are they all in there and buying people's shit? Yes, I do. That's why we need to get all of those PACs out of fucking government. Now, with that, yes, let's end that. But do I think we've got this Jewish cabal that's doing all this? No, I don't think that's the case at all. The rich always win. Well, here's the interesting thing about this. And this is something something my dad said years ago. There's a revolution coming. My dad said this before any of this stuff happened. My dad's been gone for almost 15 years. Dad's been gone for almost 17 years. And about 25, 30 years ago, I remember him first saying, there's a revolution coming. And I always think about that. And let's think about what happened in 1917 in Russia. It doesn't take much where you start pushing people into a corner that things explode. Now, do I think we're going to have a Russian-style revolution here? No, I think there's going to be something. I have no idea what it's going to be. Do the rich always win? Sometimes. But they also get lined up on a wall sometimes. That's not a threat. That's just history. There we go. Now we can glue this part on. Now we can glue that part on. And the Lord laid down his hand, and it came down as swift justice. For I am the shepherd, and his flocks. And Pulp Fiction. Yep, MSA. I hope it can be easily treated. Yes, it can, and it needs to. In our modern day, it's not sometimes, it's most of the times, if not always. I think that is correct. But let's be honest. Then I'm going to toss this out, and then we're going to start wrapping this up. Okay? I'm just as complacent as everybody else. We've allowed this to happen. We've allowed it. Because our partisanship, in terms of like here in the United States, our partisanship towards a party or not, has allowed this to happen. Oh, I'm going to vote for a Republican because they do this, that, and the other. They talk. And then in the end, I'm just going to say this, as I said this a couple of weeks ago, Americans have not done as well financially. They have not benefited as well under Republicans than under Democrats, because trickle down doesn't work, and all the topics that they focus on are not helpful to people. The real world stuff that we need to have done, we have abdicated. Okay? We have abdicated that. That we need, living wages. Well, no, we're going to talk instead about transgender people. Okay? Or whatever. We're going to distract people. And then that's going to be the thing. So we have allowed that to happen. And until we decide, again, as a population, as people, remember, what's the line from V for Vendetta? Government, we shouldn't fear our governments. Governments should fear us. That's kind of where we need to be. Until we get to that point, nothing's going to change. A lot of probably need to not step aside and stand up. Yep. They should low-key tax the rich more. Well, I'm not going to disagree with you on that, but you can't do that when rich people are running the government, and we're allowing that to happen. I'm going to do a quick little shout out here. So there's an I think he's an oyster farmer up in Maine running for Senate against Susan Collins. I've listened to this guy. He is a down-to-earth kind of guy. People like that need to be in office, not 30-year fucking politicians who've been doing the same thing and playing the field and walking that in-between line and getting by and making money and be done with it. And guys like those cunts like Rick Scott. That guy is straight up evil. That guy is straight up fucking evil. You basically, let's see, you defraud Medicaid to the tune where that company that you ran, you left before it got to the fraud stage, but obviously things were happening beforehand. You defrauded Medicaid to the tune of the DOJ in the late 90s, early 2000s, got almost $2 billion back from a company. And that company was owned by Rick Scott. He left, made hundreds of millions of dollars. and then you go out and continue to make money off of being a politician and then saying, what's wrong with it? Who wants to be poor? No one wants to be poor. What's wrong with making money? Depends on how you do it. That guy's a cunt. I'm going to say, always tax the rich. Yep. Honestly, the only the higher up Jewish families and their Saudis and the Saudis. Yeah, I don't know about that. Remember, the richest people in the world, Elon Musk. Anyone see Jack White's retort to the Trump commission? I personally loved it. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think I'd love to see that finally musicians and other talent are coming out and just saying, this guy's just an asshole. And I hope it continues to come forward. But yes, 100%. All right, Joe, have a good one. I'm about to tune out here in a second. But MSA, I just want to caution a little bit here. Careful about tossing that stuff out because it doesn't help the conversation. I think it's very important that we do look at where the root causes are. And when we use certain tropes to vilify and to say it's their fault, the answer is no. Are there, I'm sure, any ethnic group that is problematic? Yeah. Well, keeping in mind, take a look at the top 5 richest people in the world, and you're going to find that the majority of them are not who you think they are. Wolves fall under Israel. Yeah. Again, MSA, I'm just going to caution, probably not a place you want to go. Certainly not a place I want to see you go. So anyway, my friends, time for me to tune on out. Thank you for letting me blither for another hour here. Guys, go out there and do good. I missed a couple spots. Got to touch them up. Go out there and do good. Brighten the world as much as you can because it's a dangerous, scary place to be. And I'm hoping this conversation kind of did something. Go out there and show light, show kindness, show respect for people. Don't vilify people, even if they're not your kind of person. There's no room for hatred. That's what's causing this hatred. No hatred. Go out there and do good. Love, respect, kindness. That's what matters. Okay. So with that, I'm back here tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. and then doing this again, theoretically, next Thursday, 7 p.m. Guys, do good. Enjoy as much as you can. It's a tough world we're in. Do what you can to make it a better world for others and for yourself. And with that, love you all. Peace.